Hi friends, I'm Julia. Today we'll talk about getting through the legal process for the divorce. Since you are here and watching this video, I assume that you have passed the initial stages of trying to decide whether divorce is the right thing for you or not, and the separation, and had a discussion with your ex about the major items for the divorce. And you are very, very sure and ready to start the legal process. I'm not a legal professional. I'm not here to give you any legal advices. I'm here to focus on you and share with you on the non-legal aspects from my personal experience and help you getting through this with fewer pains and detours as possible. Hopefully, your situation is not one of those extremely difficult ones that your ex is violent or just not open to work with you at all. And if that's the case, my friend, I am very, very sorry for your situation, and you should do whatever needed to protect you and your family. This video is for those whose situation is not in that category. In our last video of how to start the divorce process on the right foot, we discussed of how to set a good foundation for this process. I hope you have followed some of the suggestions from the video and had some productive, difficult but very productive conversations with your ex and got some agreements on the major items. If you have not done that, I would highly recommend you watch that video and follow the suggestions. Before we go any further, let me recap the two major items we suggested in that video. Number one, take as much time as you needed to figure out what are your priorities and understand the view and the priorities from your ex's point of view. Number two, get with your ex on agreement on the major items without a third party, not the family, not the lawyers. Here's an example of those items. Number one, how to split the assets, the future expenses including the kids' college tuitions, kids' arrangements, roles and responsibilities each of you will play in the kids' life, what and how to communicate with the kids going forward. The list of things in the future that will require, that must have, get both of your agreements when they pop up. And a few critical, the what if scenarios. What happens if one gets remarried? What happens if one gets sick or dies? And there are two other major decisions that many people would overlook, but we should include in the discussion with your ex. Number one is the targeted time frame for the divorce process. So we went in length of how to do that and what that should look like in the last video. The next one is, many people don't discuss it, it just happens. It's the roles and responsibilities of the lawyers. This is a very critical decision. Hopefully you have got to agreement and talked about this so you can be very intentional that you, two of you, rather than the lawyers, will be making the decisions during this process. And I know that's a lot, and hopefully you have been getting that and getting it together, at least the major items. And we talked about why it was possible, how to do it in the last video. It has not been easy, but now we are here, my friend. You have done an amazing amount of hard work. You have made a really, really tough choice, and you are ready for the next step, the legal process. And this would be the right time for you to engage the lawyers. And I want to give you a very high-level view of what that legal process looks like. But please be aware, the actual process would differ from situation to situation. Also depends on where you live. Your lawyer would be your best guide on the exact process and next steps. But at a high level, I want to give you some ideas. So at a high level, the first thing lawyers should do is take what you have agreed on with your ex and translate them into the proper legal terms. And then, during the process, the lawyer will identify the gaps and some clarifications needed, and you will uncover some new items during that review and process. My recommendation, as I have always been, is for any of these additional items, is try to work with your ex, get to agreement for those items by two of you, and then inform the lawyers of your decisions. This will make sure you are making the decisions that's right for you, rather than the lawyers making the decisions and sometimes cause unintentional delays. And this process will iterate until you cover all the items. So during this process, remember, use the 80-20 rules and don't sweat over the small things. Remember, your goal is to get to a reasonable outcome in the targeted time frame rather than try to get 100% of what you want over a very, very long and drawn out battle. Number 2, be patient with yourself and each other. These are very difficult conversations and difficult decisions. So be patient with yourself and your ex. Number 3, remember to put the emotions aside. Avoid rehashing whose fault it is that the marriage failed. We talked about this. But remember, this is not the time. We passed that point and we can always come back to do lessons learned for future. But for now, really focus, getting onto agreement and get out of this divorce. Number 4, you will need to provide the supporting documents such as the bank statement, property documents, etc. So it is a bit similar to the tax return, but with some additional asset paperwork. And this is where the lawyers can be very helpful to ensure the completeness of the documents and the transparency from both sides. In the next step, once you got to agreement and all the required supporting documents, you will both need to sign the legal documents that the lawyer has prepared, and the lawyers will send this document to the court. And the next step is the court will evaluate, and they will sometimes come back and ask for some more documents or clarification of the agreements. Mostly, if the lawyers are decent, they should be able to help you take care of the correspondence, and the only help they need from you is provide some documents. And once all that correspondence is done, once the court accepts the documents, it starts the clock of the waiting period. So there is a waiting period of sometimes in California it's 6 months for now, for you, both of you to wait, and then that you can change your mind. So it's like a cool down waiting period since this is a huge decision. And after that waiting period, the court will send back what we call the final divorce decree, and that mark the official end of the marriage and the divorce process. My friend, I know how difficult this process is. The life you knew is disappearing right in front of your eyes. And for some of us, for me personally, that was all of my adult life. And this effort takes so much out of you, both emotionally and physically. It requires the clarity in thinking, the discipline to keep the emotions at bay. In the meantime, you still have to keep life going. You need to juggle working and taking care of kids besides this whole mess of divorce process. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, I want to share some survival tips that hopefully will help you through this with as fewer pain and detours as possible. Tip number 1, how to work with the lawyers. I talked with some people who had very difficult divorce process. And when asked what was the worst part, the top one had been, the lawyers are the worst. Lawyers are legal professionals. They are not bad people, but they are not your power attorney or friends. Many people make the mistake of treating the lawyers as paid friends. They gave the decision making to them. And these are life decisions. For the lawyers, this is one of the many cases I'm working on. I get paid by hour. I will do whatever the clients ask me, but my job is to provide professional legal guidance and take care of the legal process, make sure it's legally sound. It is much, much more productive once we realize this is a working relationship that you need to lead and manage the roles and responsibilities. Your role is to make the decisions and the negotiations with your ex, and the lawyers are supposed to make sure the process is legally sound and thorough. And many people also think that both of you, each of you, must have your own lawyer. That's actually not true. In the case that you and your ex have agreed on the major items, it's actually better to hire one lawyer between two of you. Sometimes we call them mediators, to just process and ensure the legal process is thorough. This actually is the better way. It saves a lot of money, but it also has fewer chances of let the lawyers start driving to the weeds or driving different agendas and drag it longer than needed. In the case that each of you have an attorney, it's really important that you both agree and do your very best to stay as the driver for this process. You need to make it clear to the lawyer that your priority is to have a reasonable outcome with a defined time. You want to minimize the arguments and finishing in time, not getting to every nitty-gritty details. Tip number 2, you must take care of yourself physically and emotionally. In a time like this, there's so much to do, so much to think about. And if you have children, you probably are naturally just wanting to take care of the kids and doing everything you can to keep life normal for them rather than take care of yourself. But my friend, please make it a priority to do this 4 basic things to keep you physically and emotionally healthy. This is not a good time to get sick. You are at a very hard patch of life. You're making critical decisions that will have long-lasting impact, and you are making hard trade-off and negotiations. You're under tremendous stress, and you need every ounce of strength and clarity in thinking to get through this to a reasonable outcome with minimal scar as possible. My friend, if you take one thing away from this video, this is it. Please do pay attention. And that's the reason I'm wearing this bright pink shirt for you, so you can remember. So it's 4 basic things. First, have a simple exercise routine. It does not matter what it is. It doesn't have to be hard or long or complicated. 15 to 20 minutes is all you need. The important part, you do it regularly. Try to do it every day if possible. 15, 20 minutes, evening, morning, whatever you can. And if you have more time, go to a gym, or actually my favorite is go outside. This routine does not only help you physically, it also helps you mentally. And it provides the stability and structure for your life. Also help you reduce stress. There are numerous researches and have shown how exercise reduce your stress and also help your thinking. Secondly, make sure you eat healthily. Don't miss meals or eat very haphazardly. I don't recommend at this point you get into a new diet program or any dramatic things unless you really need it and want it or it's medically recommended by your doctor. But please do eat healthily. You know what to do, right? Basic things, fruits, vegetables, and balanced and not too complicated. You need the energy and clarity. You have so much in your mind that you really need it. Thirdly, you need to get enough sleep and rest. I know how much you have to do right now. So this is the time that you need to ask and accept help from family and friends. Ask them to help with the kids, with the chores, and if you can afford it, pay someone to clean the house or babysit to give you a break. If you are exhausted, you can't possibly make good choice and decisions. So do everything you can to get enough rest. The fourth one is make sure you have and find some friends that you can lean on for emotional support. This is a very hard time of your life. Not just with the logistics. You have so much confrontations, difficult discussions, and more than anything else, you will also have to fight against your own that's very strong negative emotions, fear, anger, disappointment, frustrations, regrets. In the future, you will need to come back and deal with this at a deeper level. But for now, you just need enough support to get through this. Every day is a struggle. I know it, my friend. And you will need a safe place to cry, to be encouraged. And if you are a Christian, your faith could be your lifeline during this time. Find a couple of strong Christian friends who can talk with you and pray with you regularly. I know from my personal experience that support was extremely helpful to me. It was my lifeline. Some Christians felt guilty or ashamed because of the divorce and put away or isolate themselves during this time. And that guilty feeling makes this process even heavier. I don't advocate divorce. And if possible at all, I would want you to try everything to save your marriage. And I have talked about you during the decision process. But if you tried and you are here, I want to tell you, you don't need to feel guilty and think somehow you are doing something wrong right now. Obviously, your life did not work out the way you wanted. And you and I, we both had our shares of problems that did not help the marriage. But that has passed. The divorce does not make us less holy than the people who have a perfect marriage. And God loves you no matter what you did, what circumstances you are in. Think about it. If you have a child who is injured either by others, by circumstances, or by their own stupidity, would you yell at them and push them away? Or would you want to take them home and hold them and take care of them? That's how God feels about you right now. He loves you no matter what. His heart aches for you. He wants you to be with him. And if the people in your church are not kind, supportive, or judgmental, they don't represent God. And it is okay to find a different church. Tip number 3, how to help kids through this. Assuming you have kids. Now, after you have taken care of yourself, the next step is help the kids. Put the oxygen mask for yourself first, and then the kids. The kids are keenly aware of the process, and they are anxious and frightened as you are, if not more. Some of them might also internalize the divorce as their fault somehow. They also probably fear that divorce means that you and your ex that no longer love them and wonder who will take care of them. So do sit down with the kids. Assure them that you love them and this is not their fault. Assure them that you will always love and take care of them. Tell them that in the near term, you'll be very busy and stressed out because of the divorce process, but it will finish in a few months. And ask them to help you with the chores if they are old enough. This actually will help them feel better, and it will help you as well. Except for the custody issue that you need their input, or they are at an age that you must involve them, don't involve them in the discussion unnecessarily. Don't share your arguments or why you are divorcing with the kids, even though it's very tempting. And you may even think that, oh, the kids need to know the truth. Actually, they don't. Not right now anyway. Don't vent on them. They are not your therapist. Don't say anything bad about your ex, even if your ex is a jerk. The kids don't need to be in the middle of the crossfire between you and your ex. It is too heavy a burden for them. Next tip is give the kids opportunity to have fun and let the kids take time away from home if you can arrange that. Find a few trusted friends or family members and ask for their help to take the kids out for fun activities. Again, this is the season you need help, so please do ask. Your friends and family will be very glad to help. Don't feel guilty about asking for help. There is a season to give and there is a season to take. Right now, this is your season to receive help. And knowing that in time, you will help the people in need if your parents are willing. And maybe have the kids spend the vacations, the summer breaks, the spring breaks, whatever, with them. It will be good for all of you. Lastly, make sure the kids have a routine and a boundary at home. They need stability and structure more than ever. Their world is shifting. Anything that helps them to feel stable is good. If they are in sports, music, clubs, whatever they are, if feasible, let them continue those activities. And also expect kids will have different ways reacting to your divorce. And some of them will act out, some of them will bottle in. This is such a difficult and important topic that I will spend some more time, do a separate video on this. Tip number 4, who should you talk to and who should you listen to? We really need people to help us through this. Even if you are an introvert, definitely don't isolate yourself and don't try to do this alone. Friends and families are gifts from God and they can be very helpful. So do take and ask help from your family and friends as long as they're willing. But in the meantime, you need to be very selective with whose advices you listen to. Some interactions are energy sucking. Some friends are well-intentioned and they want to protect you, but they tend to be too emotional, add oil to the fire. You want wise and stable friends that can support you through this. Talk to 1 or 2 even killed wise and trustworthy friends through this process. These friends can give their shoulders for you to cry on, can also give you sensible advices. It varies. But for my case, I found it was better not to share too much with my family, especially my mom, as they tend to be too emotional to be helpful. And sometimes their love for you will also bias them, and they're not good advisors. And don't tell the world. only the people who need to know and who are there to help. You don't have energy right now, nor do you have need to explain to everyone. If people ask, just politely say, "Thanks for checking on me. I'll let you know if I need help." Tip number 5, what should you do at work? At this time, you are probably feeling anxious and insecure in general. It is not a good time to make big changes unless you really have to. Life goes in phases. Now it may not be the best time to focus on career growth. It is okay to keep work and career ambition on the back burner for a while. Do a good job at work. You need the stability to recover and to regroup. Some days, job is actually a nice escape and distraction from the chaos at home. Other days, work adds too much stress and can be overwhelming. And when that happens, it is okay to take a day off. And who should you tell at work? This is a tricky topic, and it's hard to decide how much to share about your divorce at work. And also it really depends. It depends on the company culture. It depends on the relationships that you have with your colleagues at work. Normally, it is good to tell your manager and a few colleagues that you work closely with about this, because you will need their help and you will have meetings about divorce from time to time. You don't have to tell them the details. It can be something brief like, "I'm going through a divorce right now and I need some flexibility at times. I really would appreciate your understanding and support while I'm going through this in the next few months." But if you know the people well and you have very good relationship with them, you can open up and share more and lean on them more. So when I was going through this, I shared with a few colleagues in my team at work. I had a very close relationship with them, and they really supported me through that rough period. I remember on one of those dark days, a friend at work saw me crying in my office. She came in and just held me and prayed for me. And my team at the time called themselves Julia's Angels, and they were extremely supportive and kind to me. I was deeply touched by it, and to this day, I am still very grateful for their kindness. What to do if you get a promotion? So strange as it sounds, the sun still comes up every morning. The world is still moving, and you may even be asked to take on new assignments or additional tasks. You might even get a promotion. So the question to ask yourself is this something good for me at this time? Can I handle this without too much additional stress? When I was going through this, and in a few years after, I turned down some opportunities for expanded responsibilities and some lucrative job offers, and intentionally downsized my job scope. Before the divorce, I was very career-centric, but at that point, I knew I needed more time for myself and for my kids. I know it probably sounds silly to turn down a promotion and downsize your job scope intentionally. We all worked hard for it. I'm not saying that it's for you and it's not for everyone. Everybody's situation is different, but I want to let you know that it is an option. Life is more than work or a promotion. You and your health and your family are much, much more important than the title or the money. The most important question to ask is this good for you at this time? And for some people, work is almost therapeutic. Trust me, I love work, and I know that. And the promotion can be a very nice distraction, take your mind off all the mess of the divorce and the mess at home, and it has additional financial benefits. But for others, this extra stress is not what you want at the time. Only you know what is right for you. My friends, this is probably one of the toughest periods in your life. You have come a long way, and you made such a difficult decision, and you are doing your best for you and your family. I am very proud of you for making this hard choice and carrying through this. So do remember to set a timeline for this process. Don't let it drag for little things. Use the 80-20 rules and take a good enough but a quicker agreements and move on with your life. Make sure the lawyers know that and don't lead the process and drag it longer than needed. And take care of yourself and then your kids. Reach out to family and friends to help you. And don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the future finances. We'll talk about that in the future together. And you may feel exhausted, scared, anxious, angry, and lots of other feelings. And that is normal. My friends, it's not going to last forever. You may feel weak, but you are stronger than you know, than you think. And you will get through this, come out on the other side, stronger and better. And I know you will. And I'm here praying for you, and I'm rooting for you.